Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today for this short program really designed to get your lymphatic system moving. So, your lymph, in conjunction with your thymus gland that sits right below the sternum here, is really a big part of our immune system. And our lymph does not have a pump. So, in order for us to get that lymph moving through the body, we really need to move and kind of pump our own lymphatic system by moving through our joints. So in this practice today, we'll be moving through the knees, we'll be moving through the groin. We'll tend to the lymph nodes that sit here in the lower part of the abdomen. And we'll also be in and out of the armpits, which also house a lot of our lymph nodes. So kind of cleaning out the filters. At the very end of practice, we'll flip things up into a gentle inversion, a little legs up candle pose. And we'll let that lymph start to drain all the way back down towards the thymus gland. So for our practice today, we're going to need a blanket if you like something underneath you. You're going to need a couple of blocks. We're going to use a tennis ball or therapy ball for just a little bit of myofascial release. And we'll also have a strap, and we're going to stay pretty close to the floor for this practice. So grab your things and let's get started. I've got a block underneath me right now, so I am seated on a block that just allows the spine to grow nice and tall out of the pelvic bowl with a little more ease. And we're going to grab this strap. We're going to do a little before and after for the shoulder girdle. So let's grab this strap. Let's hold it out in front. You can take your arms a little bit wider than shoulder distance. And for just a moment, we're going to reach the head of the arm bone way out in front of the shoulder socket. And then I want you to really mindfully bring the head of the arm bone back, right? This is just a much more easeful place for us to start to move through the shoulder girdle. And from this place, we're going to bring these arms up. And I just want you to notice as you're bringing your arms up, we can let these arms go a little bit wider. And let's notice if we are overarching the back to get these arms up. And the first thing I want us to do here is to neutralize the spine. Maybe do a little tip over to one side and a tip over to the other side. Just kind of see what's here with you. Now let's see if we can maintain this neutral spine. We're going to let these arms go just a little bit wider here. And then start to bring these arms back behind you. And just see, right, there's an area here where things start to get a little bit tighter. And we're just going to pause here. We're going to breathe, right? Maybe we're turning the head to look a little bit left and then right. Right, take another moment to kind of turn, look to one side, look to the other side. And then I'm going to meet you back at center. We're going to bring these arms all the way back up and over. And we're going to set this strap down for just a moment. And we'll take the block that we are seated on right now, and let's come off that block. And you're going to take your block on a medium setting, and we'll place it over here to the right. And then lift your right arm, and let's kind of palpate the outer edge of your shoulder blade, right? The outer edge of the scapula. And then once you've got a sense of where that is, you're going to set that on your block. We're going to go ahead and cradle the head so we're not straining the neck to be here. You can take a bend to those knees. And, you know, if you've never done this type of fascial release, this can be a pretty big sensation. So maybe we check in with the breath here, and if we're holding our breath, let's not do that. We'll find a nice big in-breath and a nice big out-breath. And as we start to find a little more ease here, there's an invitation to start to find a little bit of somatic movement. So you're kind of rocking forward and back, kind of hitting those trigger points that sit right along the outer edges of your shoulder blades. We're not going to be here too long, but what we're doing right now is really getting a little more space into the upper trapezius so that we can find a little more range of motion in that shoulder joint, right? Also stretching through those armpits and starting to tend, even right now, to the lymph nodes, the filters that sit in the armpits. So let's go ahead and pause here. You can press through your hands and start to bring yourself all the way back up. And we'll move this block over to the second side. We'll take it over through to the second side. So left arm comes up and we're feeling for this outer edge of the shoulder blade. Once you've got this sense, let's go ahead and bring it down onto the side body. And again, make a little pillow for your head here. And we'll see, maybe this side is a lot different from the first side. Maybe it's the same, right? Check in with your breath. And if we're holding the breath, let's see if we can really start to soften, let go. This is fascial release. So if we're holding tension here, right, we might notice that we're holding the breath. So maybe we can start to soften, release some of that tension by letting the breath go. All right, if it's comfortable for you, you can start to find this fanning forward and back, kind of somatic exploration. Remember, I said we're doing kind of a before and after. So we're going to get this nice release going into the upper trapezius, and then we'll come back to the strap and we'll check out the range of motion in the shoulder joint. So let's go ahead and pause here. Let's press through these hands and let's come all the way back to where we started. So let's grab this block. We'll come to have a seat on our block, right? Whatever sort of seat feels comfortable for you. And let's grab our strap again. And we're going to take this strap out in front like we just did moments ago. And I want you again to reach the head of the arm bone way out in front of that shallow socket. And then with a whole bunch of intentionality, root the head of the arm bone back in the socket. All right. If these arms need to go a little bit wider, give yourself permission to take them wider. And from here, we're going to start to bring this strap all the way up overhead. And again, I want you to notice what's here with you, right? If we are overarching the back to get the arms up, can we neutralize the spine? And after that release on the block, we might find that there's a little more ease in this shape. All right, so stretching into these armpits right off the bat here. Let's let these arms go a little bit wider. And then from here, let's start to take this strap back behind us. All right, once we've got this set up, again, I have a tendency to kind of jut my chin forward. So I'm going to be really intentional about pulling the base of the skull back, turning to look to one side, and turning to look to the other side. And we're going to pause here for just another couple moments because we know that whether we're squeezing the lymph nodes or stretching the lymph nodes, that is helping to clean out the filters, right? So once we get the lymph moving, it hits these filters and it'll be able to travel through the filters with a little more ease and efficiency and fluidity. All right, go ahead and come back to center. Let's bring this strap up and over, bring it down in front. And we're going to use this in just a couple of moments for your legs. So let's not let it go too far. In fact, we're going to come off the block that we are seated on, and we're going to transition from the upper body into the lower body. So let's grab this therapy ball or tennis ball that we brought with us, and we're going to take it underneath your left set of glutes, right? So I like to come and kind of rest on my hands, bring my feet to the floor, and we're just going to give ourselves a little gluteal massage here. And this is really about circulation and about hydrating the tissues. We're only going to do the left side, and we're not actually going to be here for very long. I know that we are load bearing on these hands. So stay with me for just another couple moments, just kind of circle around. And just like with those blocks, if you haven't done this ever, or you haven't done it in a really long time, it can be a very sensational release. So this is deep tissue massage. Take another moment here. And then let's pause and we'll go ahead and come off of the ball. And we're not going to do the right side yet. So set the ball off to the side somewhere where it's not going to roll away. Let's grab this strap again and let's come all the way down onto the back. All All right, so we have a lot of lymph nodes that sit around the groin, and we're going to continue to work through this left side. So bring your left knee in towards your chest, and let's extend the right leg all the way out on the mat. So really stretching these legs in two different directions. You've got your hands interlaced around your shin, and I really want you to pull this thigh in towards you. And then you could let it move a little further away and do it again. So now we're really pumping the hip joint and pumping the lymph nodes that sit there right at that groin. All right, let's do another release and maybe another squeeze, Apanasana. And then we're going to start to get the knee in on the action here too. So on your next inhale, let's stretch your left leg up to the sky. And then bring your knee in towards your chest. Give yourself that sweet little squeeze. And let's do it again. Reaching up. And on your exhale, squeeze the knee, and you're using this movement to press the breath out of the body. One more time. Reach it up. And one more time, bring your knee in towards your chest. And this time we're going to pause, and you're going to reach for that strap that you brought on the journey with you. And let's take your strap around the ball mounds of your foot, and we'll start to stretch your leg all the way up to the sky. And of course, as we stretch the leg up, if you're feeling those hamstrings are still really tight, maintain a little bend in that knee. We're going to take the hands, and you're going to wrap your hands one time in your strap so that we can let these arms kind of hang. And that will just manually pull our foot into dorsiflexion. We can feel that stretch moving all the way down into the calves. I want you to take a little awareness to perhaps the sense of stretching your skin on the back of your leg, right? We consider that our lymphatic system is subcutaneous. It sits right below the layer of our skin. So when we're stretching the skin, right, we can pretty well assume that we're starting to get some movement in that lymphatic system. So let's go ahead and take your yoga reins into your left hand. We'll open this right arm as a counterbalance. And then you're going to start to take your left leg out to the left. And then bring your leg back up to center. And let's take the reins into the right hand. And take that left leg across the midline. That's a pretty big stretch for the outer hip, but we're not staying. We're going to tick-tock this side to side. So let's move with the breath, inhaling up and exhaling out to the left. Inhaling up and exhaling across the midline. All right, bring your leg back through to center. And from here, let's take a bend to the knee and let's reach for the strap. And we'll take the strap off, and you're going to let that left leg go all the way down to meet the right. And the first thing we're going to do here is just pause, bring it close to our eyes, let the arms come to the side body, do a little scan, right? Notice what you notice. Maybe take your awareness into the left leg and then over into the right. Oftentimes we have a sense that we just lengthened the left leg. We might have a sense that the leg is lighter, right? Maybe there's a sense of circulation. Maybe the bones feel like they're weighted to the floor just a little bit more. Whatever it is that you're noticing, let's notice it. No right or wrong way to do this. No right or wrong answer. And then let's notice the awareness and the connection that we have with the right side. And it might not be as vivid. All right, we're going to come in for this manual pumping of the lymph. So I want you to take your left hand and just take it to the top of your thigh. And then you're going to reach those fingers towards the lesser trochanter. So it's more towards the inner groin. That's the head of the femur bone. And you're going to place a little gentle pressure at the fingertips. And then you're going to pull up towards the groin. All right, let's do it again. So we're going to reach down. You're kind of tracing the line of the crease of your hip. All right, a few more times. So kind of manually pulling that lymph into the lymph nodes. Let's say 2 more times. And here we go, last one. And then, of course, we're going to pause again to notice, right? Maybe we feel a little more sense of circulation, right? That's a more nuanced sensation to connect with, but we might be starting to build that muscle awareness. All right, from here, let's take a bend to these knees, and you're going to roll to your right or your left, press through your hands, bring yourself all the way back up, and let's find that therapy ball or tennis ball, and we'll take it over to the right side. So let's start with the gluteal massage. And again, it is a little bit of load bearing on the hands. So I never really keep us here this long, but we can just kind of circle this ball around, right? Wake up the tissues, wake up the muscles, remembering that our tissues are responsive tissues. So when we start to apply a little pressure, they respond in kind. They're like sponges. They start to soak up circulation. So we'll take just another moment because this is plenty of response. And then from here, let's pause. And we'll let this therapy ball go off to the side. In fact, you can let it go way off to the side. That's all we need it for. Let's grab this strap and let's start to make our way all the way back down onto the back. And again, as we come down, you're bringing right knee in towards your chest. We're stretching left leg all the way out. And this is what we call apanasana. So apanasana is really wind relieving pose, right? We're starting to activate a more downward movement of energy. So we've got our hands interlaced around the shin, and we're just going to do these gentle pumps here. So kind of pull in and then release, let the leg move away. And then we'll do that a couple more times, pumping manually this beautiful lymphatic system, right? So tapping back into our vitality, right? And starting to get things moving again. Oftentimes that lymph gets stuck down in the feet, down in the legs, right? We can end up with a little bit of stagnation around the feet. So this is really going to help to get things circulating. All right, here we go. Let's play with the extension. And then on your exhale, hug your knee all the way back in. And we'll do this a couple more times. Reaching up and knee back in towards your chest. All right, moving through the joints of your knee and moving through the joints of your hip socket here. All right, the next time that you have your knee hugging in towards your chest, let's reach for that strap. And here we go. We're going to take the strap around the ball mounds of your foot, and we're going to stretch your leg all the way up. Take your hands, wrap your hands one time in the strap so that we're getting a little bit of this manual dorsiflexion to the foot. And we are going to pause here to really connect to that sense of stretching the skin around your calves, right? When we stretch our calves, we release tension in the low back. And I know so many of us hold chronic low back tension. So this is a great way to release some of that. Let's make sure we're breathing. And in order to do that, we're going to find some movement with the breath. So you're going to release your hands, take your yoga reins into your right hand, open your left arm out to the left, and then let's take this right leg out to the right. And then when you're ready to inhale, bring it back to center. Take the reins into the left, and let's exhale as we cross the midline. And that's a big stretch. So let's make sure we're breathing. Let's do it again. Inhaling up, exhaling out to the right, inhaling up, and exhaling over to the left. All right, from here, I'll meet you back at center. We're going to do that thing again where we bend the knee, get rid of the strap, stretch both legs out, and we're going to pause to notice. Go ahead and close your eyes. Can we feel? Maybe the legs feel like they're equal distance now, equal length. Maybe we feel a little more felt sense connection maybe we're starting to connect to the movement of our circulation, right? That's more nuanced sensation, but the more that we strengthen our muscle of awareness, the more we notice. All right, from here, we're going to do a little bit of that manual lymphatic pulling. So I want you to take your right hand to the top of your thigh, and then we're kind of walking in. So we're running the line here really of the hip crease, right? So a little gentle pressure as we pull up towards the top of the pelvis. Yeah, and we'll do that a few more times, pressing down, pulling up. Again, that lymph is subcutaneous. It's not really deep, so we don't have to do a lot of pressure, right? Just a little bit of kind of milking, pumping, pulling, and kind of cleaning out the ducts. All right, let's pause again and let's just see what we notice, right? Arms can come to the side. And maybe we feel a little bit of vibration, right? A little bit of warmth. All right, from here, let's take a bend to these knees and we're going to walk these feet in so they're a little bit closer to your sitting bones. And we're getting set up for our bridge pose. So you might take your blanket, if you have a blanket on your mat, and just kind of curl it up so that your feet are on your sticky mat. And then from here, let's press to those feet. Lift the hips, come up into your bridge, and we're going to bring these arms up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to let these arms go a little bit wider, just like we did with the strap, until your arms come to the floor, and you're in a little bit of a V shape. All right, from here, let's let the hips go all the way back down to the floor. When they touch the earth, bring the knees in towards your chest, lift your head and heart, wrap your arms around your shins, and give yourself a squeeze. All right, let's do that again. Feet to the floor as these arms go up into their V. Lift the hips. And then from that bridge, let's lower the hips. Lift head and heart, pull the feet in, curl into that tiny roly-poly ball. And let's do this a few more times, right? So stretching and expanding, right? Hips and armpits. And then curling everything in and finding that squeeze, right? We're really tending right now to the lymph nodes that sit in the lower area of the abdomen as well. All right, one more time, squeeze it in. And then from here, we're going to let the feet go to the floor. We're going to let the arms come to the floor. We're going to come back to that in just a moment, but I want to come back into the armpits here. So let's take this right arm up towards the sky. And then go ahead and bring your arm up alongside your ear. And if it feels better to cactus the arm or take the arm out into kind of that V shape, go ahead and do that as well. And we're going to take your left fingertips to your armpit. And we're going to start to do these kind of manual circles in the armpit, right? So you're using, the flat part of your hand to kind of draw these circles. And we're going to start to find the pressure as we pull towards the pectoralis major. And as you move your fingertips away, release the pressure. And so you've got kind of half circle pressing in and half circle with not a lot of pressure. So we're really, again, moving through the ducts, cleaning out the filters, but we're also encouraging the movement of the lymph towards the thymus gland. All right, do one more manual circle here. And then let's pause, and you're going to reach this right arm all the way up to the sky, and you're going to spread your fingers as bright as they'll go, and then squeeze your fist. And maybe we do this another 4, 5, 6 times, right? Getting that lymph to start to move from the fingertips down the arm towards the lymph nodes, back towards the thymus gland, making our white T cells. All right, from here, let's pause. Right hand can come down. Let's bring this left arm up to the sky. Bring that left arm up alongside your ear, again, giving yourself permission to find a comfortable place for that arm to rest. Right hand comes over to the armpit. And as you're drawing your circles, right, we're kind of dragging these fingers over the tissues, the muscles in the armpit. And again, I want to see if we can find a half circle with no pressure and then a half circle where we're kind of putting some pressure in, right? So pulling towards the chest. And we're going to draw maybe 3 more of these circles. All right, let's go ahead and pause. Right hand can come back to your side. Left arm is going to reach up towards the sky. Spread your fingers really bright and then make a fist. And then spread and make a fist. And we'll do this a few more times. And then we'll pause. Go ahead and bring these arms back along your side body. And we're going to come right back into that bridge. So press through the feet, lift the hips, bring these arms back up and take them into a V. And then lower the hips, lift head and heart, bring your knees in towards your chest and squeeze again. All right, we're back to this idea of pumping the lymph. So we stretch, we lower hips, and we squeeze. All right, 3 more times. All right, 1 more here. Stretch it out. And 1 more time. Give yourself that sweet little roly-poly squeeze. And then from here, feet go to the floor, head comes to the floor. Reach for one of those blocks, and we're going to take your block on its medium setting, right? Press through your feet, lift your hips, and we'll slide this block underneath the pelvis. So this is our inversion, right? This is where we get to reap really the benefits of all that we've been doing for the last few minutes here together, right? So the legs are going to go up to the sky. This is what we call candle pose. And now we're going to let that lymph start to move from the feet down the legs to the hips. And then we've got this height underneath the hips so the lymph can continue to float towards the thymus gland, which really sits here behind the sternum. So as we keep these legs up, let's take some moments, just kind of pat the chest gently. And this is more about stimulating, right, that thymus gland. It likes the vibration. So as we're letting everything kind of drip and drain, maybe we think about this as our honey drip pose, right? Lymph has kind of that honey color. And here we go, activating the partner in this system, which is the thymus gland. So take a couple more moments, right? They think gorillas do this in the wild because it helps also beef up their immune system. It's also said to give us energy, to reduce fear, so it gives us courage. Take a couple more moments here. And then let's pause. And we'll go ahead and release these feet one at a time. So let's take a bend into that left knee. Let your heel go towards your glutes. Take a bend to the right knee. And then deliver one foot to the earth. And then we'll follow that with the second foot. Press through your feet. Lift your hips. Slide your block out. Hips come to the floor. And from here, we're going to stretch these legs out. Right? And we're going to give ourselves a couple of minutes here to integrate this practice. right? I'm a big fan of recognizing all of these amazing intelligent systems that we have in the physical body, right? We're so used to prioritizing the thinking mind, that intelligence, but we have intelligence in the nervous system, intelligence in our digestive system. There's intelligence in the cardiovascular system, the respiratory, the breath system. And right now, we're trusting the intelligence of the lymphatic system. So we have moved through the joints from the knees to the ankles to the groin, right? Through the spine, through the shoulders, to the elbows, through the wrists. Now we pause, right? And we let the integration occur. So maybe you have another 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 or 5 minutes that we can rest here. We can get out of our body's own way and we can let this magic and this healing happen. I am going to leave us here and say, SALUD. Here's to your health.